Factors type 2. Grouping to get a common factor. So when we're asked to factorize is the opposite of multiply. So when we're multiplying algebraically, we usually expand brackets. So if we're asked to factorize, we want to end up with brackets in our answer. So there are 4 types of factorizing at ordinary level. This is the second type. This is known as grouping. And we use this type of factorizing when we have 4 terms. So the first type of factorizing we saw was the HCF, the highest common factor. That's usually when you have 2 terms. It can be if you have 3 terms as well, or 4. But when we're asked to group, the question will say factorize, but it's when we want to group. It's when there are 4 terms, but that there isn't a HCF common to all 4 terms. There isn't a highest common factor common to all 4 terms. So in this question, we have AX plus AY plus BX plus BY. So we can see that there's an A common to the first 2 terms, but there's no A in the last 2. There's a B common to the last 2 terms, but there's no B in the first 2. There's an X common to the first and the third, but no X's in the others. And there's a Y common to the second and the last, but no Y's in the others. So if you saw this question and you saw factorize, you might initially think, well, this cannot be factorized because I cannot take out a common factor. Because we always try the HCF method first. So when the HCF method doesn't work, if you have 4 terms, then you try the grouping method, which is where you group 2 terms together and factorize those, and then group the other 2 terms together and factorize those. And hopefully when you do this, whatever you have inside your brackets will match. So let's have a look at an example. Factorize the following and check your answers. So we have AX plus AY plus BX plus BY. So as I already said, there is no term common to all 4, so we cannot use the HCF method. So we're going to try the grouping method. So let's have a look at the first 2 terms, AX plus AY. Is there something common to both of those terms? Yes, there is. There's an A common to both. Now let's have a look at the last 2 terms, BX plus BY. Is there a term common to both of those terms? Yes, there is a B. If that was not the case, you might be able to rearrange the terms so that you can group them so that you can find a HCF common to the first 2 and the second 2. So you might have grouped AX and BX together. That would work because the X is common. And then you could have grouped the AY and the BY together because the Y is common. So sometimes with these questions, we need to rearrange the terms first, but in this case, we don't. So AX plus AY, so I'm going to factorize those 2 terms first. So I've just put a blue kind of bracket, kind of rectangular bracket underneath AX plus AY to show that I'm factorizing those 2. And I've done the same with BX and BY with a green rectangular bracket to show that I'm going to factorize those 2. So AX plus AY, so A is going to be my highest common factor. So I write down A, and then I have an empty set of brackets. Okay, so now I'm going to do some rough work. So I'm going to write down AX, which is the first term, and I'm going to divide it by the highest common factor, which is A. So AX divided by A, the A's will cancel and leave us with X. And X then goes inside the brackets. Now I do the same with plus AY. I'm going to divide that by the highest common factor, which again is A. So AY divided by A, the A's will cancel, leaving us with Y. And the Y, which in this case will be plus Y, goes inside the bracket. So AX plus AY, if we want to factorize those 2 terms, A is the highest common factor, and AX divided by A leaves us with X, and AY divided by A leaves us with Y. So this was our rough work, but I do suggest you do this until you get really good at them and you can do this part in your heads. Now we do the same with BX plus BY. So we can see that B is going to be the highest common factor here. So we have plus B because it's positive B is common to both and an empty set of brackets. So then we're going to write down bx and divide it by the highest common factor, which this time is b. And bx divided by b, the b's will cancel, leaving us with x, which we write into the brackets. Then we do the same with plus by. We're going to divide it by the highest common factor, which is b. So by divided by b, the b's will cancel, leaving us with y, which we put into the brackets. So bx divided by b leaves us with x, and by divided by b leaves us with y. So again, this is our rough work, and eventually you will be able to do this in your heads, but I strongly suggest that you do the rough work for the moment. Now, hopefully you notice that what's in the first bracket is x plus y, and what's in the second bracket is also x plus y. If this happens, then you know you're on the right track. So we were asked to factorize, and whenever we're asked to factorize, unless we're using the HCF method, we always end up with two sets of brackets. So our first set of brackets is going to be x plus y, because that's what's common to both of these brackets here. So you literally just put an empty set of brackets, and inside the brackets goes x plus y. So we only need to write it down once. And then we have another empty set of brackets, and inside those brackets we'll have a plus b. And that's our answer. So it doesn't matter if x plus y is in the first bracket or x plus y is in the second bracket, or vice versa with the a and b. So long as that when we multiply these out, we come back to our question. So you should always check your answer. That's very, very important. So to check our answer, we write out our two sets of brackets. So x plus y multiplied by a plus b. We crack open the first egg. We bring down the x, we stick on the second egg, we stick on the a plus b, we bring down the plus y, and we stick on the second egg again, the a plus b. Then x times a is going to be ax, and x times b is going to be bx. So you could call it xb, but we like to do it alphabetically, and since b comes before x in the alphabet, it's better to write bx. Remember, a letter times a letter, we stick them together. Then y times a will be ay, and then y times b will be by. So we end up with ax plus bx plus ay plus by. So let's go back and have a look at our question, because they might be in a different order, but they should still match up. So ax was our first term, and we have ax down here. Then plus ay was our second term, and we have plus ay down here. Then plus bx is our third term, and we have plus bx down here. And then plus by was our fourth term, and we have plus by down here. So we know we're right. It doesn't matter that these are in a slightly different order to what we started with. So I'm going to do a couple more examples in the same way. And you'll see that we always end up with two eggs as our answer, or two sets of brackets. Remember, this is just the check. This is where you're checking if your answer is correct. If you're asked to factorize, your answer must contain brackets. Question 2. Factorize 3ax minus bx plus 3ay minus by. So again, we have four terms. If we try to factorize using the HCF method, which means taking out a common factor, we'll see that there is no term that is common to all four parts. So we are going to have to try our grouping method. So 3ax minus bx, we see an x is common to both of those, so they can be factorized. And then 3ay minus by, we see a y is common to both of those, so they can be factorized. So let's start with the first two terms. So x is going to be our HCF. So we have x, and then we have an empty set of brackets. So then we take the first term, 3ax, and we're going to divide it by the HCF, which is x. And 3ax divided by x, the x's will cancel, leaving us with 3a, which we put into the brackets. Then we do the same thing with minus bx. We're going to divide it by the HCF, which is x. So minus bx divided by x, again the x's will cancel, leaving us with minus b, which we put into the brackets. So this is the first time that we've seen a minus, so make sure that you write minus b and not plus b, because minus bx divided by x, the x's cancel, leaving us with minus b, not b. Now we do the same with the right two terms. So 3ay minus by, the y is common, so y is our HCF. So we have y and an empty set of brackets. So then we write down 3ay, and we're going to divide that by the HCF, which this time is y. So 3ay divided by y, and 3ay divided by y, the y's will cancel, leaving us with 3a. And the 3a we put into the brackets. Next we write down minus by, and again we divide that by the HCF, which is y. And minus by divided by y, the y's will cancel, leaving us with minus b, which again we put into the brackets. And as I said, make sure you write in minus b, not b. So hopefully you notice that we have 3a minus b in the first bracket and 3a minus b in the second bracket, which means we're on the right track. So to finish off our answer, we write out an empty set of brackets, and inside it we put 3a minus b. And then we write another empty set of brackets and we put into it x plus y. Don't forget the plus. And that's our answer. So we were asked to factorize, so we ended up with 2 sets of brackets as our answer. Very, very important when you're asked to factorize, you must have brackets in your answer. So we're going to check our answer, so we're going to write this out again, multiply out the brackets, and see do we get back to the start. So we write out our 2 sets of brackets, 3a minus b multiplied by x plus y. We crack open the first egg, we bring down the 3a. We stick on the second egg, which is x plus y, we bring down the minus b, and we stick on the second egg, which is x plus y again. Then 3a times x is 3ax, and 3a multiplied by y is plus 3ay, and minus b times x is minus bx, and minus b times y is minus by. So let's see, is this what we started with? So we had 3ax, and there we have 3ax. Then we had minus bx, and there's our minus bx. Then we had plus 3ay, there's our plus 3ay. And then we had minus by, and there's our minus by. So they might be in a slightly different order, that does not matter. So we know that our answer, 3a minus b times x plus y, is correct. Factorize 3a plus bd plus ba plus 3d. Now this question, we have to do something else compared to the last two. So hopefully you can spot it. So what we had done in the first 2 questions was we factorized the first 2 terms. But hopefully you realize there is no common factor. And likewise, there's no common factor with the last 2 terms. So we're going to have to rearrange them. So we can rearrange and put the 3a grouped with the plus ba, because there's an a common to both terms. And we can have the bd grouped with the plus 3d, because there's a d common to both terms. Or we could group the 3a with the plus 3d, because there's a 3 common to both terms. And we can group the plus bd with ba, because there's a b common to both terms. It doesn't matter which way you do it, you'll get the same answer. So I've decided to group the 3a with the ba, so here they are grouped together, and the bd with the 3d, so here they are grouped together. So I had to rearrange them first before I started the question. Now I can factorize. So 3a plus ba, my HCF, my highest common factor, will be a. So I have the a outside an empty set of brackets. So then I do my rough work. So 3a divided by a. So the a's will cancel, and I'm left with 3, which I put into my bracket. And then I have plus ba divided by a. And again, the a's will cancel, leaving me with b, which also goes into my bracket, but plus b must go into my bracket, since b on its own is really positive b. Now I do the same with bd plus 3d. So d is common to both terms, so d is my HCF. So I have a d and an empty set of brackets. Then I divide bd by the HCF, which this time is d. So bd divided by d, the d's will cancel, leaving me with b, which goes into my bracket. And then 3d divided by d, the HCF. The d's will cancel, leaving me with 3, which goes into my bracket, but it must be plus 3 that goes in, because 3 on its own is really positive 3. So my rough work is done. Hopefully you notice that we have 3 plus b in the first bracket and b plus 3 in the second bracket, which means the same thing. 3 plus b is the same thing as b plus 3. So we can open up an empty set of brackets and put 3 plus b into it. And then we open up another empty set of brackets and put in a plus d. So there's our answer. We were asked to factorize, so our answer should contain brackets. So we're going to just check, are we right? So we're going to multiply out these brackets and see, do we get back to the start? So we have 3 plus b multiplied by a plus d. So I'm going to crack open the first egg. So I bring down the 3, I stick on the second egg, a plus d. I bring down the plus b, I stick on the second egg, a plus d. Then I multiply out my brackets. 3 times a number times a letter, we stick them together, so we get 3a. Then 3 times d, a number times a letter, we stick them together, so we get plus 3d. Then b times a letter times a letter, we stick them together, so we get plus ab. You could have actually called this plus BA, but we like to write our terms alphabetically. And then B times D, a letter times a letter, we stick them together, so we get plus BD. So let's go back and have a look at our question. So we had 3A, there's the 3A. Then we had BD, and there's the plus BD. Then we had BA, there's the plus AB, which is the same thing as plus BA. And then we had 3D, which we have there. So although they are in a slightly different order, we did get back to the start. So therefore, our answer of 3 plus b multiplied by a plus d is correct. Question 4, we want to factorize xy plus x minus y squared minus y. So here we see a minus y squared. So what's handy to do here is to expand that. So minus y squared really means minus yy. So everything else I write down the same. So xy I just bring down, plus x I just bring down, minus y squared becomes minus yy, and minus y I just bring down. So now I want to see, can I factorize by using my grouping method? So there's no term that's common to all 4 terms, so I can't use the HCF method. So let's have a look at the first 2 terms. xy plus x. Well, there's an x common to both of them, so I can factorize those. And minus yy minus y. There's a minus y common to both of those, so I can factorize those 2 terms as well. So I don't need to rearrange anything. So my first 2 terms, xy plus x. So I can see that x is my HCF. So I write down x with an empty set of brackets. Next, I'm going to write down the first term, which is xy, and divide it by the HCF, which is x. And xy divided by x, the x's will cancel, leaving us with y, which we put into the brackets. Then we take the second term, which is x, and we divide it by the HCF, which again is x. And x divided by x, well, anything divided by itself is 1. So we put plus 1 into the brackets, not just 1, it must be plus 1, because 1 on its own is positive 1. So then we do the same with the right 2 terms. So minus yy minus y, well, minus y is common to both. So minus y is my HCF, and I have an empty set of brackets. So then I write down minus yy, which is the first term, and I'm going to divide it by minus y. So minus yy divided by minus y, well, the minus y and the minus y will cancel, leaving us with just a single y. And remember, a minus divided by minus is a plus, so we don't write minus y as our answer, it's just a single y. So that goes into the brackets. Next we have minus y divided by the HCF, which is minus y again. And anything divided by itself is 1. And that goes into the brackets, and we put in plus 1, because 1 on its own is really positive 1. So now our rough work is done, and we can see that we have y plus 1 in the first set of brackets and y plus 1 in the second set of brackets, so we know we're on the right track. So we write down an empty set of brackets, and into it we put y plus 1. And then we write down another empty set of brackets, and into that we put x minus y. So this is our answer, y plus 1 times x minus y. So we're going to check if our answer is correct. We're going to multiply out these brackets and hopefully get back to what we started with. So we have y plus 1 times x minus y. So we crack open the first egg. We bring down the y, we stick on the second egg, which is x minus y. We bring down the plus 1, we stick on the second egg, which again is x minus y. Next, we multiply out the brackets. Y times x, a letter times a letter, we stick them together, so we get xy. And then y times minus y, well, a plus times a minus is a minus, and y times y is y squared, so we get minus y squared. Then 1 times x, a number times a letter, we stick them together, we get 1x, which is just x. And then 1 times minus y, a number times a letter, we stick them together, so we get minus 1y, which is the same thing as minus y. So let's go back and see, did we get what we started with? So we had xy was our first term, and there's xy there. Then we had plus x, and there's plus x there. Then we had minus y squared, there's minus y squared there. And then we had minus y, there's minus y there. So although the order is slightly different, we did get back to the start. So y plus 1 multiplied by x minus y is definitely our answer. So hopefully you noticed that for each of these questions, whenever we were factorising 4 terms using the grouping method, each time we ended up with our final answer being 2 sets of brackets. So that's what you should get. And with factorising in general, apart from the HCF method, the other 2 methods that we will look at in the next few videos will also end up with 2 sets of brackets. So for the HCF method, you usually end up with 1 set of brackets, and for grouping and the next 2 types of factorising, we end up with 2 sets of brackets. But either way, whenever you are asked to factorise, you must always have brackets in your answer.